Cartagena is one of the main touristic centres of Colombia with excellent and varied hotels and services. Visiting Cartagena is an electronic experience. It's like stepping back in time to discover their homes, streets, temples, walls, and glorious and heroic past that is part of World Heritage. The city of Cartagena de Indias, located on the Caribbean coast of Colombia, was declared a World Heritage Site in 1984 for its architectural heritage, historical and cultural. It was declared a Historical Heritage of Humanity by UNESCO in November 1984, being the first Colombian to join the list of World Cultural and Natural Heritage with the name of Port and Fortress Monumental Cartagena. Located in one of the most beautiful bays of Latin America, the heroic city was the port from its foundation most important Spanish vast colonial empire, and therefore the piece most coveted by pirateers and pirates, as well as by the English, French and Spanish to rival the global hemisphere. The English gave the system more extensive defensive fortifications, and imposing of all the cities in the New World, founded and built, in addition one of the more representative of the architectural period colonial, embodied in civil buildings and domestic cloisters and churches, streets and squares which gave a single character at a global level. Cartagena is a warm and friendly city that remembers with nostalgia his heroic story, preserving the legacy of its elders, keeping its majestic monuments and buildings, but which nevertheless undertakes to give impetus to its natural inhabitants of the new challenges futures holds, while not forgetting its glorious past. When the construction of the walls, the city tenants 50 years of being established, so no pruning is conceived as a stronghold in military sense, but as being urban, where an active social life, commercial and religious, which combines the slide and severe stiffness of the military construction, native poetry and evocative of the houses, streets, squares, churches and cloisters. The set of architectural works of Cartagena is Alarifes Español, which moved to the New World. They formulated practices learned in the peninsula, particularly in Andalusia, but adapted to the necessity, climates and physical conditions. The remarkable homogeneity that is observed in the most of the buildings, cloisters and conventional domestic houses reflect the same conception of life, developing around a central courtyard with plenty of vegetation surrounded by arches and columns. The city, by being enclosed between walls, must necessarily limit its space, and this is reflected in the streets and public places, which house the largest and majestic doors, the balconies and the windows with wooden trellis, so that the same environment and intimate cautious pruning of the interior is also breathed in the narrow streets and squares. To the religious architectural production, the government buildings are rare in Cartagena, a trait common throughout New Granada. The best examples are the civil buildings in Cartagena, where currently runs the mayor. Another example is the Palace of Inquisition, that is characterized by its cover of Barroco coral stone. Domestic architecture, on the other hand, has remained unchanged since colonial times. The traditional houses in Cartagena, with one or several floors, were built around a central courtyard, with wooden balconies and high windows with shutters that open into the street. The houses are 2 stories. Towers further complement the sea view. The first floor were used as warehouses and deposits, with the upper floors reserved for rooms. In the 1600s it was called Calle de Nuestra Señora de los Ángeles. The legend says that when the governor Zerjudo Anastasio Núñez accounted for the construction of the walls to the then King of Spain, Charles VI, which had cost a fortune, the king wanted to see from his mansions with a telescope the magnitude of such a costly project. Deciding to leave for Cartagena dressed as women so as to have a closer look at the walls, staying at one of the houses in Calle de las Damas, obviously arriving incognito so no one could identify them, imagine how the residents' theories came to their minds. At last they could not give the identity of such señoronas, and the ladies returned to Spain after a few days, hence comes the name of this street.